something not as many people are talking about, but still a pretty enjoyable piece of culture. Green Book, Peter Farley, 82% on Rotten Tomatoes for this thing. Um, it's interesting because I left the theater and I went home and bring up my girlfriend Julianne again. She asked, "Oh, so tell me about the movie." And I was like, "Oh, it was a lot of fun, and I laughed a lot, and there were a lot of things I thought were really good about it." And she said, "Okay, like what?" And I was like, "Well, Viggo Mortensen, Mahershala Ali had really good rapport." She's like, "Okay, well, what about the actual like plot?" And I was like, "Black guy traveling through the South." And she's like, and I was like, "Kind of it, like
it's what you expect it to be."
right." Um, and I the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't really know what like the heart of this movie was other than this like this friendship. And I think that that is probably why this movie is good and not great, because you have these two amazing actors, Viggo Mortensen, you got Mahershala Ali, but it kind of skirts so many of the deeper issues that are going on at the heart of this tale, and it's based on a true story, but a lot of it is fictionalized. That I don't think it actually says that much, other than I guess white people and black people can be friends.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and that was kind of the issue. I think the trailer for Green Book is laughably bad in terms of conveying the movie it is. Because as soon as we heard about this movie, everyone's like, "It's Driving Miss Daisy all over again, except you flip the races." And it's like, what's this movie gonna end? It's gonna, you know what? White guy finds out racism is bad, and he feels good about finding that out for himself, and then the audience will feel good too. It's like, that's not a good message for movies, And I agree. I don't think the movie is like amazing, but I think because it's honestly it's a fun watch despite some dark subject matter. Um, the rapport between Vigo and Mahershala and just that banter they have throughout the movie just makes it really crowd pleasing and enjoyable. Even if there might be some issues with the plotting and the actual storytelling.
Yep.
So I think it makes sense that it's been getting some critical attention. That being said, it actually kind of underperformed at the box office. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are thinking this could be like Hidden Figures, do like really good numbers in terms of like a movie of the people that people would get up and see. And I think perhaps the marketing really hurt this because I don't think like it's not this horribly offensive movie. But on the other hand, it is about the white guy,
Right.
and maybe people aren't interested in that story.
Yeah, and Tony Lip seems like a pretty interesting guy, but how many times have we seen a character like Tony Lip in movies, whereas Don Shirley is it seems like a very unique character in terms of how learned he is, the amount of fame and success he was able to have, even though he was still in a country that was, I mean, that is still, but especially at that time was even more divided by racism and inequality. And he's a pretty complex character. I mean, he even says, "I'm not white enough, I'm not black enough, I'm not enough of a man." He's a gay black man who's
What am I?
has yeah, he has three like PhDs. It's fucking crazy, and he basically is used as a tool, a MacGuffin to drive Tony's character development.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's written by his son, by Tony's real life son, along with Farley and what's his name, Brian Curry, I believe. Yeah, Brian Hayes Curry. So it makes sense that he makes his dad the focal point of this. But at the same time, I really feel like there was so much more that they could have gone into. I mean, even like the scene when Tony gets called down to the YMCA because they found Don with a white man in the showers. They basically gloss over that, and he just is like, I know it's a complex world. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I agree. I think the movie just pulls its punches for the sake of perhaps not veering too far in one lane or the other, Like you said, whenever there is a moment for them to actually try and say something. And again, it's like the conclusions are obvious to anyone well-meaning person, right? But the movie still doesn't really go there with anything. It's always about Tony being, you seeing how Tony reacts to the situation and changes as a man, and it's all,
Mhm.
and Don Shirley as a character in the film is basically servicing Tony's transformation as a person.
Mhm.
So I agree. I do think there was, missed opportunities. But on the other hand, it's like, do mass audiences want to see lots and lots of hard N words and like blatant racism? Like, is that what we needed? Maybe not. So I'm
True.
not saying I have the answers either, but um, I think for what it is, I do think it. Again, I think it's a still an enjoyable film that I thought ended pretty well, and it was honestly pretty warm. And I was again happy to see that, given the reaction I had to the first trailer.
Mhm. What did you think of Mahershala's performance in this?
Honestly, it's pretty understated. Like I
Mhm.
said, he's not the star of the film in terms of like lines or anything, but also like he doesn't have as many showy scenes as Vigo does.
Mhm.
And maybe Mahershala likes roles like this. Again, he was not the star of Moonlight either. Still won an Academy Award for that. But
Mhm.
honestly, no, I think despite the fact that Don Shirley in the movie is, a guy trying to fit into the world in multiple ways, his character was kind of a straight arrow,
Mhm.
not literally straight, you know what I mean? But so uh, I don't know. I kind of would have liked more, but again, they chose not to made the movie about Tony Lip, so that's what we got. But I mean, what did you think? Did you? I mean, obviously he was good, but did you want more from
Yeah.
Mahershala?
I did want more, but I feel like the scenes when he was able uh, to especially uses nonverbals, like the scene where right after Tony gets him out of the situation where he's caught with another man, and he talks him out of it, and Tony gets approached by one of his like friends from the Bronx who's somehow down in the South, and is like, oh, if you need a job, come talk to me.
Yeah,
And Tony's about to go down and talk to him, and the way that
that was good.
Mahershala has that conversation, portrays that like fear and that like longing for Tony not to go and not to leave him. I thought was fantastic, and it's those sort of moments which make me, I mean, just remember how much of a fucking class act Mahershala Ali is, and how he's like he needs more work. Just like give him more roles. I'm so excited for True Detective season 3 now, especially like seeing more and more of the trailers. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fucking sick. Although we said the same thing about season 2, and
Eh, no
eh,
Pizzolatto this time, so should be okay.
true. Um, but yeah, I thought that was great. And Viggo Mortensen, so fucking funny, dude. Like the way he
Yeah.
was able to play these lines, I was blown away. I did not think he had that in him.
What did you think of both the characterization of Tony Lip, but that just in general the portrayal of Italians in the movie? What'd you think of
Pretty
that?
stereotypical.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty. I like what Tony eats a shit ton, is
Hmm.
vulgar, is street smarts. It's like,
Yeah.
and then has maybe not blatant racism, but he still has racist beliefs, at least in the start of the film, right? And it's like, and then all the other guys, like, it's like, yeah, this is some '60s Italians, right? Like they
Hmm.
love Roger Maris, It's like it was a little off, but I
Uh,
thought Linda Cardellini as Dolores' wife, she was actually pretty good in
mhm.
the few scenes she had.
Yeah, definitely. And I really thought some of my favorite like scenes to laugh at were when she was reading the letters that Don was obviously writing for Tony. And like especially when she was reading them aloud and the guys were like, these letters pretty good. Like I really just like got a great kick out of that. And I thought the rapport between, like him and his family was fantastic and fun to be around. That's the thing. I come back to this is like it's an enjoyable movie to like watch and be a part of. I just think for the players in it and for the subject matter, it could have been so much more. And they almost like played it too safe just not to ruffle feathers.
Yep.
Bit of a missed opportunity. But any last thoughts on Green Book?
No, like you said, I think I expected it to be more cringy than it was, and it really wasn't. But like you said, missed stop.
Go support it because we like Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen. Shout out the king.